My dad says, here's what I want you to do. You must always follow the county and fight for the boys in the blue. I will try for the boys in the blue. I will fight for the boys in the blue. And if anybody asks you to...
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
On the edge of the box is Madden. Madden trying to manufacture the shot, gets it away, it's there! Oh my word! What a goal from Paddy Madden! The Irishman strikes again! And is that the goal that's going to send Stockport County back into the Football League?
It's fine as long as I don't scratch it or look at it or talk about it. It's 7 on a Wednesday, and yes, this is the incessant sight and or sound of the Scarf Bagara War, your weekly live show and podcast covering all things SK3. Not all things SK3. So if you're on like Worrell Street and your bin hasn't been emptied, don't get in touch. Yes, we're with you for the next hour or so. With me, Nick, man of the people, Lee. We can't all be hobnobbing with those at the top. And with me as ever, a man recently described by me just then as hobnobbing with those at the top. It's Russ Johnson. Hello, Russ.
How do you? All right?
Yeah, I'm good. Quick bit of admin / general chit chat that I like to get. I went and watched last week's show back because that's quality control, always striving for improvement.
Yeah.
And when we were talking about me slapping the bass, you made the comment, I bet you can play elephant, can't you?
Yeah.
I just want to quickly clear up, what were you referring to?
I was referring to a Seven Nation Army opening riff.
That's what's kept me up all week. Just lying there with my head against the pillow. It's like, I think he meant Seven Nation Army. I thought you meant Elephant by Tame Impala at first. That's why I let it slide.
Right. No. I was going. Do you know what though? Today, for those who are watching on YouTube, not for the audio listeners, you look like a bass player today. Are you going out after the show?
No, I'm planning on it.
Right. Oh,
I just had a glow up, mate.
I was going to say you're looking pretty.
I'm wearing all the stuff my ex wouldn't let me wear, and I'm just all at once. I just pile all my clothes on and just see what happens during the day. Yeah.
Nice.
You should think about sorting yourself out, you scruffy get.
I will do one day, one of these days. Yeah, drag myself into the 2020s.
Do you want me to pretty woman you?
I don't know what that means.
You work on commission. Big mistake. I could take you and get you all spruced up.
Is that from the film? I take it, is it? I don't know. Yeah.
I can't believe you've not seen Pretty Woman. I would, if there was a musical version, you'd have seen it, wouldn't you?
Probably. There is. I bet there is.
Is there?
Well, I assume.
It's not really a family thing, though, is it? Sex worker.
Shall we crack on and tell everybody what we've got on tonight? We've got on a fan guest who will get out very shortly. We've got Tom from Alldale, aren't we? Rochdale podcast. We're going to talk about Gillingham. We're going to talk about Carlisle. Look ahead to Rochdale as well. Talk a bit about the play of the season. Talk about, are we going for automatic or are we going to stick in the playoffs? What do we think about that? And then everything else that surrounds County about that. How does that sound, Nicholas?
Sounds good, Russell. Yeah. That almost sounded planned, that, didn't it, for a minute? It sounds like trying to make a catchphrase happen. We're not.
Yeah, we're not. Before we get our guests out, should we just do a slight bit of admin? Thank you very much to all patrons. Really means a lot to us. And if you aren't a patron, then watch this.
Nick, can I ask you a question?
Sounds like you just have, mate, but you crack on.
How do you like your content?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Personally, Russ, I like mine hot and fresh out the kitchen.
We've discussed this.
What?
We had that meeting about you referencing R. Kelly and we agreed it was too problematic and you wouldn't do it anymore.
Sorry, mate, it's just the best combination of words to describe just one of the many benefits that members of the Scarf Bagara War fan club get for the very reasonable price of just £3 English a month.
And not only that, there are discounts on merchandise, exclusive access to live events, bonus episodes and all sorts of fun to make it worth your while.
You see, they get the weekly audio podcast immediately after broadcast, 36 hours before everybody else.
So hit the link in the description and join now for just £3 a month and help support the only podcast for county fans by county fans.
All that, plus exclusive early announcements and anything else we can think of. It was alright, wasn't it?
It was. I'm just not sure about the R. Kelly thing.
I love them guys.
They're good, aren't they? They're good. So the Patreon link is at the bottom of the screen, somewhere here. And yeah, get involved. And also, I've got to say a huge thank you to Andy Baldwin, who I know listens to the show, watches the show. He's given us some subs recently. Andy, on your settings, I cannot reply to it and say thank you. So I'm saying thank you now. If you send us your email address, we'll sort you out with something. But that would be really, really good. So yeah. Right. Anything else admin wise?
That's me. That's me.
Are we
One more away day show left of the regular season, but it's not this Saturday because we're not away. It's next Saturday.
No, we're not. We're at home this Saturday, aren't we?
Famously. Yeah.
We are, and we're going to talk about that with one of our guests. But first, let's get our fan guest out, and he's answered all the questions that I asked him, which is good. So here's his first game. He started supporting County in the 1978 season. Alan Thompson was player manager. I'm not going to tell you his age. You can all guess, but he's been supporting County for 45 years. His first game was Brentford EP, and we won 2-0. His best goal live, 2 goals in particular. Ian Dowie own goal. I think we all remember that one, don't we? Quality goal. And the Quigley goal versus Bolton. Oh, yes. Best moment supporting County, the Rochdale playoff final. I'm sure we'll talk about that a bit more. Tom's backstage. He's just crumbled. And taking the lead.
Room's a very sour place right now.
Yeah. Taking the lead at Old Trafford. Obviously, we lost that in the League Cup, I think it was. And then the Halifax game when we returned to the Football League, and Nuneaton game. Bolton sticks out as well. I asked for best moment. He's given me 5 there. And his favourite player, Kevin Francis, because he got County. Also love Kevin Cooper and Sam Minihan, because they all got County. I think that's something we can all relate to. So let's get our guest out, which is Dave Marchbank. Hello, Dave.
Hello.
Evening, Russ. Evening, Nick. How are you?
It's 46-year-old Dave Marchbank.
Yeah.
I wish. In my dreams.
So, Dave, you stick around. We'll talk to you for the full show. We'll cover stuff about co-op as well, because you're obviously on the co-op, so we can deep dive into that as well, which will be interesting. So, without no further ado, I think that's what they say. Did they? Is it without no further ado?
No, it's not. But no, there's no.
Oh, is there not?
No in there. No.
Oh, without further ado. Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll use that.
You
from
could
now
say.
on.
I mean, without no further ado is quite Brinnington, so it's quite on brand for you. I know you've tried to leave that part of your life behind, but I think you'll be all right, mate. Yeah, you can get away with that.
It's very Brinny. Yeah, I'll get myself a little man bag for next week. Let's get Tom from Alldale, aren't we?
Oh, Tom.
Hello,
Hiya,
Tom.
chaps. Thank you for having me on. I think.
No, thanks.
Give it 10 minutes and we'll see.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on, mate. Now, obviously, we know each other from the failed Greatest Manchester Football podcast.
Yes,
Which was a decent attempt to cover all things Greater Manchester Football, but it just didn't.
Everyone's
quite
busy.
work. Everyone's too busy. Yeah, supporting.
Yeah, that's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah.
We're just supporting proper football clubs, aren't we? That's the issue.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
You're not wrong. So let's look ahead to the game on Saturday. I know you drew 2-2 last night. You're 9 points adrift with 3 games to go. You need to win all 3 and hope results go your way. What's gone wrong, mate?
So much at this club. You know, that I think it's been a gradual decline on and off the pitch at Rochdale for maybe 4 or 5 seasons now. You cast your mind back to the start of the season, even to last season. Our previous manager was given the summer to work with. I think a lot of fans felt that he didn't really deserve that opportunity to start with. Was given an improved playing budget, has misused that playing budget, and then I think the board obviously We were under a lot of pressure from fans, and they pulled the trigger after 4 games, sacking our manager after signing all of his own players. We then spent 2 weeks, 3 weeks 2 or 3 weeks without a manager, with Jim McNulty coming in as interim at the time. Searched around for managers for weeks on end, looking at Dave Artell, John Askey, people like that. None of them wanted to come. We ended up with our 5th choice favourite manager, Jim Bentley, and that's just been a disaster class from start to finish. I think he kind of, if you looked at it on paper, I think he kind of looked like the manager you would have wanted through the door, or what we needed at the time. But obviously, he's not had his own stamp, been able to put his own stamp on the team really with his own players. He had, a January transfer window to work with, and the last day of the summer window, and that was it. And he's just not been able to find any consistency with the players that we've had. Obviously, we've picked up the odd result here and there. But yeah, just been a really, really poor season on the pitch. No consistency. Players haven't clearly bought into it. Jim has obviously now been sacked, and even smaller Jim McNulty, we're both aware of, has come in again as interim manager. It can give us a little bit of boost and a little bit of hope. A few good results the past few weeks, but we know that our time is nigh, as it would be.
And is this the worst possible scenario for you coming to Edgeley Park, knowing that we could send you down?
It's been one of our group chats. It's been on our minds for months. Everyone's been calling it, saying it would end up being this weekend that it would happen. And up until the 93rd minute yesterday, we were due to go down until we decided to equalise. And I don't think I've ever felt such a way about an equaliser in my life. I thought, this is our worst centre half. You've not done anything all season, and you've picked this moment of the season to score your first goal. I felt like it was almost done intentionally, just to hurt us a bit more. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
it reminds me of that when we went to. Did we play Gateshead at Hartlepool when we dropped out of the National League, and we were 1-0 down, got relegated as well. And then I think was it Chirac who equalised like 94th minute and kept it going till the last day. It was just put us out of our misery. It's horrible, that, isn't it? And then to have to go to a local rival and get relegated must be. Ugh.
I often think, people always say to me, good things should happen to good people. But in the past 15 years, I've watched us be dumped out of a playoff final by yourselves. And in that space of time, you've dropped through the leagues, come all the way back up. You're on the cusp of going at least into the playoffs, and you get the chance to relegate us. I mean, what's that about?
Karma, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's a difficult one because obviously we know each other, so we can't really sit here and sort of take the piss as maybe a lot of County fans would do, and are probably going to do on Saturday. There's definitely that element of it. A lot of County fans, because of what Keith Hill said at the time, and the rivalry that we had, and a lot of your fans said to us at the time on our way down, because we were being mismanaged. And you're talking to 3 people here, Tom, who have all been board members. One still is, of the supporters co-op, so we know the turmoils of clubs, and I'll ask you a question shortly. But it's a really strange one because I feel like I know what you're going through, and I don't know where it ends for you. But at the same time, everything that happened when Keith Hill was in charge, it's kind of like bittersweet. Do you know what I mean, Nick, Dave? Do you know where I'm coming from with that?
Yeah,
don't bring me into your weather business, Russ. No, I just want football to be the winner. You know me.
Oh, give over. Get off the fence, Nick. Splinters on your ass, mate.
I have to say, I think, like you say, having been there ourselves and relegated, and it's gut-wrenching. And, I remember at the time thinking, well, at least it can't get any worse. And then, then it did. And, I enjoy our games with Rochdale. I have to say, when I mentioned about the one of my favourite games being the playoff, you got to understand. Obviously, we played at Wembley a few times and lost, and that was the first time we'd won when we played Rochdale. I thought we were outstanding that day, absolutely outstanding. It's one of the few games I've ever been to when we went behind. I thought we're going to win this game because we were playing that well, and I thought all we've got to do is carry on playing as we are, and we did. And I thought we were absolutely fantastic. So yeah, I do sympathise with where Rochdale find themselves, and it's tough, and it's really tough division to get out of. When you go down there, you think you'll be in for a shock, because some of these non-league sides play the hard to beat, and it's getting back out of that division is horrendously difficult.
Yeah.
So, I mean, my personal thoughts is I don't think it's fair that you can end up runners up in a division and not get promoted. And that's the reality of the conference, because if you finish second in the conference, you're in the playoffs. It's like,
yeah.
Does the format not change next season, or is it the season after where the two teams go up automatically?
They were talking about it, but where they're up to with it,
I'm
not 100% sure.
Not to matter, we won't be anywhere near it.
Well, no. Teams like Harrogate and Crawley will always vote against it as well.
Yeah.
They'll just never have that, no chance, because they're circling that drain every single year, to coin Russ's phrase. They'll just never. I'd like to think that ourselves and Wrexham and Notts, if they both come up, I'd like to think we'd all vote for it. I reckon. But it's easy to say that when you're going to be in no danger of relegation, isn't it?
Yeah, or in League One.
Yeah.
So, but Tom, the sort of going down, the teams down there are really well run as well. A lot of them are really, really well run. You have to go down and respect it. That's what I wanted to ask you. Where does it end for Rochdale? Because it sounds like you're not really well run. Obviously, you've got a relegation threatened team. Where do you see it ending for you?
I wouldn't be surprised if I think we very possibly could follow suit to something like Scunthorpe. I think we're in that kind of category. And the problem with the ownership is it's not that I so much blame them, because they've stepped in, an inexperienced board, and they've come in and tried to steer the ship away. They saved us from the hostile takeover, but they have no idea how to run a football club, and they've made numerous mistakes. They've admitted to it. They've hired agencies to reevaluate all the running side of the football club, and it's just not what you need in this position. So it's a really tough one with them, because I don't want to scathe them, because they've came in and tried their absolute best, but they just aren't experienced in any way, shape or form of running a football club. And I think it's getting to fans now. Unless we basically, from what I can understand, is from what they put out a few months ago, just I think it was around January time, is that they're looking to source outside investment. But in the short term, we've got enough money to keep us going through the parachute payments and the BT deals and whatever from being in the National League to keep us going till the end of next season. And if we don't get any investment in before then, it sounds like we'll be toast. It's a tough one. It's the effects of COVID, the pandemic, having to sell all of our best players. But where you would normally sell your best players to, improve a budget and rebuild again, that money has just been kept into keeping the club afloat. It's also been put into legal fees to stop Morton House, who were the hostile takeover around the club, trying to go into all that to win the court cases for that. So it's a really unfortunate set of events. We've not been. The board have admitted mistakes, and like I say, they are rookies and they've made their errors. But it's not like they've purposely mismanaged us.
Yeah,
and that's why I think it's a bit of a tough one where you lie with it.
Yeah, and is I take it to that end. Then there's no protesting or anything like that, because what can you protest against?
Yeah, exactly. You almost feel like you couldn't anyway, because what are you going to protest against? Ultimately, we know what needs to happen. We need an investor to come in. From what I can understand, the board are going to step aside if that does happen and let them come in and run the ship and all that. They've come in at a difficult period. They've tried the best. They've never proclaimed to be football people that have known how to run a football club, but they've done what they can. But it's not worked. And it's where do you place that frustration and anger, really? Because you feel a bit unfair to centre it towards them. So I don't know. It's going to be an interesting few months, I think, definitely.
What's the mood going to be like on Saturday then, when you bring? I don't know how many you bring in.
Not coming in fancy dress, so that's a start.
No, that's a bonus. Yeah,
Unlike some.
Yeah. What's your mood? I say what's your mood going to be like on Saturday? I could probably guess, but is there going to be any anger towards the the owners or anything like that?
I think it's got the potential to borderline on that. It's getting to that point now with a lot of fans, where it's getting to the boiling point. And as a fan base, we're quite placid, really. We don't really go that way, but it's definitely getting that way now. I think it's got strong potential to be that way come Saturday. So we'll have to wait and see. But I think there could be a lot of frustration vented at the players at full time.
Oh, okay. So that'll be interesting. I mean, no,
cheerful.
It'll be Peak County though, won't it? That you'll come and turn us over. Danny Lloyd, bloody double hat trick or something.
Yeah, 3 bicycle kicks.
So in terms of the match on Saturday, then is just focusing on Danny Lloyd for a second because obviously he's quite quite revered around here. Is he been the shining light for you? It seems like that outside looking in.
There's 2 players you'd look over for that, and that'd be Danny Lloyd and our goalkeeper Richard O'Donnell. Hard to think that our goalkeeper could be player of the season considering where we are, but he is. If it wasn't for him, some score lines would be ridiculous this season. But no, Danny Lloyd, yeah, absolutely amazing, breath of fresh air. And what's been a horrific season for us. Obviously, only came in late December, and he's done enough already to be head and shoulders above the rest, and he could easily be player of the season for us. He puts everything out there on the pitch. I think he's got that connection that you want with a fan base, and he drives, and he's something that we've not seen in a player for a number of years. Honestly, probably going back to when we were in League One since we've last seen a player of Danny Lloyd's capabilities. But yeah, he's been brilliant, and he's single-handedly won us games this season just with his energy and his passion on the pitch. Really,
that could almost have been lifted from exactly what we said about him when we first signed him, because we'd had a number of years without having like a proper player, a player who got you off your feet,
yeah,
and all that, and yeah. Oh, I love Danny Lloyd.
Yeah,
I'm putting that love to one side for 90 minutes on Saturday night.
Yeah. Wasn't he one of the ones? Just speaking up from a county perspective, now he's one of the first ones really that when we were down and we were at our lowest ebb, he was one of the first ones that got the club, wasn't he? I think it's probably fair to say that. In the reverse fixture 2-1, he got a couple of rounds of applause, ripples of applause when he was warming up and things like that, which he appreciated, but it stopped there. Absolutely, it stopped there as soon as the whistle.
Especially since we know he doesn't mind celebrating against former clubs.
Yes, yeah, because
quite happy.
And fair enough.
I would be.
Yeah,
I think one of the interesting things for me was that when we played at Rochdale and I went down, and I thought Rochdale were pretty good actually. I came away feeling that Rochdale had got a point. We couldn't have had too many complaints. Obviously, we won the game, and I was delighted about that. And I thought there was a tremendous atmosphere from the county fans. But Rochdale played some good stuff, and it was interesting because Lloyd, he's got that ability to just, no matter where he is, if he's close enough to the goal, he'll get the ball and get his shot away, won't he? And you could see it. He's still got it in his locker. He's still got that ability to get his shots away and on target and cause problems. I can understand why he's rated by the Dale fans, because we rated him ourselves, didn't we? He was fantastic for us when he was with us in his first spell, particularly. He was really good.
Yeah, it was a strange game that, because it was a fairly sloppy, even game, and then there was just that 3-minute spell where we scored twice. And it just kind of knocked you off your feet a bit. But other than that, it was. I thought it was fairly even.
Well, we had our second choice goalkeeper in net who was letting in calamity after calamity at the time, so that helped a lot. Yeah, I'd agree with that. To be fair, it was a quite even game. I said it at the time when I went on my own page, saying that one of those games it could have gone either way. We had quite a few good chances, but Stockport were ruthless and they took theirs. So there you go.
Yeah. No, we were, and that's why. I mean, that's ultimately the further up the league you go, the more fine margins it is, isn't it? And we obviously take our chances. On to Saturday then. what are you expecting in terms of performance? Are you expecting to really dig in? And because obviously you've got to come and you've got to play because you need a result. Teams normally come who are in the bottom half, part of the bus, and have been pretty successful with that. I would say some of them.
This season.
Yeah, how do you think it's going to go?
Ultimately, we've got to go for it, haven't we? It's a pretty much a 99% certainty now that we're going to be relegated. We've got to go out there and just go for it for 90 minutes. Pressing on the front foot, trying our best to get ourselves into a favourable position, and then see what happens elsewhere. I'm under no illusion. I don't think this is going to actually happen. I think this is going to end up being an absolute drubbing, if I'm honest. But that's the mentality we've got to go out with. Whilst there's still something to play for, you've got to go out there and show that on the pitch. So yeah. We will see. We will see what comes of it.
Yeah, no, good stuff. I mean, we're just going back to when we went down. Saying to Nick before, it felt like we went down with a whimper.
Yeah.
The first time, well, out of the football league, it did. It just like I know we had the protest on the pitch, didn't we? The lads that sat in the middle of the centre circle, which was that was a bit of a protest, and that got media attention. But the rest, it just felt like, we're down. There was more of a hoo-ha when we went out of the National League.
Well, then again, when we went out the National League, I also remember people singing Altrincham on a Friday night, which really annoyed me. As much as I like a bit of gallows humour, that really wound me up, that did. If they'd been in fancy dress singing it, that would have been me gone. Ed lost.
Can I also just say thank you so much for Scott Quigley. I can see why you gave him to us. Oh my God. He is possibly one of the worst footballers I've seen.
Oh, wow.
It's crazy because
Really?
we had like a 3-month spell with him last season where he was unplayable for about 3 months. And then for the rest of that time, he came on for us in the Leicester game in the Cup and was just charging around, giving fouls away. So he just genuinely looked like a competition winner. And it was weird how he could go from how he was last year to that. It was weird.
It's odd. He started quite well the first game. He got 2 goals, and then he was on a little bit of form for 2 or 3 games. And since then, he's looked like he's treading mud for the rest of the season. I don't know what he actually is, but there you go.
It's funny because I put Quigley as one of the best goals when he scored against Bolton, but obviously when he scored it was almost there. It was almost in a situation where it was the only thing he could do was to try and lift it over. And the way he did it wasn't conventional, but it worked. And I remember thinking at the time, hopefully he's going to start. This is going to give him the confidence to go on and start. No, it never happened. He did score a great goal for us in what was a great game when we beat Bolton, but. Yeah, it went downhill after that. It's fair to say, unfortunately.
Like JK says there, from unplayable to unpickable in 2 months. I'd normally ask for predictions from opposition guests.
What are you doing to
I know. I feel awful. So I'm not going to ask you that. I'm not going to ask you that. But what I will say is good luck after Saturday. And I suppose I will say this. I hope Keith Hill's watching.
Watching this?
Well, just watching it in general. Yeah, because he had words to say, and we'll probably talk about that later.
I don't think Keith Hill will be watching the. Well, we've overspent on the microphones, haven't we? So Keith Hill won't be a fan.
Yeah, he won't.
Keith Hill's gonna hate it.
He won't be watching this. Yeah. Yeah. Jim Gannon might, 'cause it's not on Sky. So there you go.
Hey, full circle. I like it, Ross. I like it.
See what I've done there. Tom, cheers for coming on, mate. Are you coming to Stockport on Saturday?
I am indeed, yes.
Good stuff.
May see you there.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, if you want to brave it, come in the courtauard. I'll buy you a beer, mate. That's a genuine thing. So yeah.
Cheers, much appreciated.
The debauched drunkard in the corner. That'll be me.
Yeah. Slapping the bass.
Slapping the bass
in the corner.
I'm on it again this Saturday. I decided.
You're on what?
So I got on it for the Newport game, didn't I?
Oh, did you? Are you on it again for Saturday?
Yeah, because well, it's a lucky. We won, last time I got on it, we won 4-0. So
Right.
Oh God.
I'm just doing my bit. Just doing my bit. So if I'm sick on your shoes, then you're welcome. Fine, love.
For the
Tom.
4-0 scoreline.
Tom,
A pleasure.
cheers, mate.
Thank you very much for having me on.
Yeah, speak to you soon,
Cheers,
bud.
mate.
Cheers for
Take
coming
care.
on.
Bye-bye.
Appreciate it. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
There we go. So, as much as we probably don't like Rochdale, Tom's a great guy, and it's an absolute, credit to him for coming on and having a chat with us, because he could have easily have swerved it and not got involved. So yeah, whatever you think about Rochdale, don't think it about Tom, because he's a good lad. So yeah, suppose that's.
I agree.
Thanks, bud. I thought that was a Arctic Monkeys album title then. For me. It was, whatever you think about Rochdale, Tom, what I'm not.
Tommy's not. Yeah.
Speaking of Arctic Monkeys, if you're into Arctic Monkeys and stuff like that, I do a podcast about them. Check it out, innit? Series 1.5, 1.5 coming soon.
Check it out, innit?
1.5, 1.5. It's a shame it's audio only, isn't it? Really, because I've got all these like hand movements, and I should be on like Saturday Night TV, like Edmonds or Barrymore. You can say that was the last time I watched that. That's the two references I've got.
Well, how do you respond to that?
Yeah, it's a good. I have to do this every week, Dave. I have to do this every single week. We'll talk about this later. We'll come back to this. But Eladis says what Keith Hill said must have gone over my head at the time. What did he say? We'll talk about that later. What we'll do is we'll go in chrono order, shall we? Chrono. And talk about the Gillingham match first, because we've not covered that since last week. That was Saturday, wasn't it? Gillingham.
Saturday.
Yes. Did you go, Dave?
No, I went to Carlisle yesterday.
Yeah.
But I didn't get. To be honest, on Saturday. I was at a Stockport gin having a gin tour because it was my wife's birthday.
Very nice.
They did a couple of tours and went with a few friends. So we had a really nice afternoon. However, I was only having to glance at the phone to keep an eye, and obviously the late equaliser was very welcome. But no, I didn't see it. I didn't go and I didn't see it.
Okay, fair enough.
But
How many bottles of Bagara gin are left, by the way, while you?
We can talk about Stockport gin. So what we found out today was that Stockport gin have actually made the donations from the Bagara gin sale, and I know for a fact there's less than 20 bottles left. I think there was 20 bottles left when I went on Saturday and I bought one. So there's less than 20 left.
Right.
But we got an email today informing us that they was giving us the commission from the sales, because they recognised that obviously with the statue being unveiled for the Hartlepool game, that obviously we're going to be squeezed financially. So we had a lovely donation of £646 today, and in total that took us the donations from Stockport Gin to £2,774, which is absolutely magnificent.
Yeah.
But I would just point out as well that the bottles remaining of the Danny Gin, there's no plans for any more batches of Danny Gin. So if you want one, get one as ASAP, because there's less than 20 left. So as I say, we went on the gin tour, and I booked a couple of friends because it was Sandra's birthday. Got a nice shout out from Paul, and we did the tour, and it was really, really good, excellent. So I'd strongly recommend that if you fancy supporting a local organisation that's a massive county fan. And thanks very much to Stockport Gin for their sponsorship with the co-op. It was really appreciated. Another interesting thing I found out as well is that they've got an upstairs room which is being converted into an event space, and that's going to be ready in the next 2 or 3 weeks by the sound of it.
Nice.
So we may look at the possibility of trying to get an event on there at some point. So that's going to be worth keeping an eye on. It's I've not seen it, but apparently it's a decent size, and sounds like it could be something that we could maybe utilise at some time. So that's one to look out for.
It's a shame we're barred, isn't it, Russ?
Yeah.
We should not be allowed back in.
Not allowed in, no.
After your last comment, Nick, I'm not too surprised to be
Just on gin, though. I mean, if you put those 19 bottles of gin on the wall to county, I reckon you'd shift all them on Saturday. Surely, if somebody did that, I mean, I'm not saying you should do it, Dave. I'm not sure you're a gin seller, but you know.
Yeah, there's less than 20 bottles remaining. So, like you say, it's and as I say, the big thing is we've spoke to Paul about it, and we feel like it's, we may do something else in the future, but at the moment there won't be any more Danny gin. And I've got I bought another bottle on Saturday, so I've had about 4 bottles of it. I think it's fantastic gin. But it's interesting. I'll tell you one of the things I realised, because I went onto the website, and it was interesting because I went on this gin tour, and we all sat down there. Obviously, there were 6 of us because I invited a couple of friends and their wives. And Paul says, "Does anybody know how gin's made?" And I'm like, "I haven't got a clue." And it was funny because there was like all these people that like gin. None of us had an idea how it was made. And I remember seeing on the website that one of their gins won best gin in Britain. And I thought, that sounds really impressive, that. But I had no idea how many gins it was up against. So he did, like he said, anybody got any questions at any time, just shout out. So I had a chat with him and said, when you had this competition, that where you won the best gin in Britain, how many was it? How many gins was it against? Have a guess how many you said. Have a guess.
What, in the awards bit?
Yeah, there was the competition for the best gin in Britain.
Right. Oh, sorry. Total gins. Oh, it's got to be loads. I'm going to say 5,000.
No, not that many. But
okay. I'm less impressed now.
yeah, so it doesn't sound that impressive now.
No, it doesn't.
No,
come on, Paul and Cheryl. God.
No, it was up against 500 gins, which I thought was incredible. But their gin with lime, I think it is, won best gin in Britain.
Nice.
And it does give you an idea of how good their gins are. Very, very good. And as I say, the gin tour's to be highly recommended if you want to take your wife or girlfriend out for See, my wife's, she's not teetotal, but she doesn't drink much. But she does she has an occasional glass of wine, and she likes the gin. So I thought, gin tour will be good, and
nice.
It's excellent.
Tremendous stuff. We have got a question here for you.
Get myself a wife or a partner, won't I?
Yeah, you should do, Nick. Yeah.
That's the first step.
Yeah. Ian Dowden says, for the statue, while we're on the subject, does it have anything on the plinth? Something like we might have a small house but a bloody big heart, or have we got to wait for stuff like that? What can you reveal?
Enough, we have ordered the plinth, and no, it doesn't have that on it. But there was an element of, I think, what people need to realise is that it's the work of not just the Stockport County Club, but also Help the Hatters, who've been tremendous supporter of the idea and put a lot of money into it. So it's got the county co-op badge and a Help the Hatters badge, and it's also got a Uruguayan flag on it. And I think it'd be. We've got some good things lined up for the unveiling. It's going to be on before the Hartlepool game, so yeah, it's quite exciting.
And are you asking everybody to come in fancy dressed as Danny Bergara? Anything like that for that day?
Well, we did talk about it, seeing if we discussed it with the club about whether we could make it into a Uruguayan day, but I think they have got something lined up for another event. So
Right.
So no is the answer to your
Right.
question. But obviously, we have actually got the Uruguayan ambassador coming down to help with the unveiling.
Wow.
Yeah, and and apparently when we got in touch with him, he seems quite knowledgeable about Danny and what he achieved and how what he's done to put Stockport on the map. So yeah, so that's something to look forward to. And Hannah Stewart's coming down. Paul and Cheryl will be there from Stockport Gin, and yeah, it's going to be a day to remember.
Amazing.
Tremendous stuff.
Hopefully that won't be the only reason it's a day to remember.
Well, exactly.
Could you
It's
imagine?
all happening.
Well, absolutely. I said a while ago that potentially it could work out that we need to win to get automatic promotion, and Hartlepool need to win to stay in the league. I'm not saying it will end up like that, but it's a possibility. And yeah, and obviously it's a sellout as well, isn't it? It's which is tremendous.
Yeah.
I'll offer you this from Clear Blue Skies on Twitter. Stevenage have won only 5 of their 20 away games this season. 3 of their remaining 4 games are away. So anything could happen.
They've been formidable at home.
But
They've been formidable at home, haven't they? That's where they've got the points. Yeah. All to play for. All to play for. Shall we talk about the football then? Let's talk about Gillingham. But before we do, let's just play a small clip and then we'll get into the football.
If you're watching us on YouTube, please like, share, and subscribe. And for the audio podcast, please rate, review, and recommend us on whatever podcast player you are listening to us on. Cheers, thank you.
I feel more organised this week. I don't know what it is.
God, someone does.
Yeah.
I'm just all higgledy-piggledy as ever. Really. My brain's going about 1,000,000 miles a minute, Russ. Yeah.
So do like the show if you're watching live. That would be useful. Thank you very much. So the football then. Gillingham. Nick, where did you watch it from?
Antigua and Barbuda.
Nice.
I've been watching old episodes of Pointless, and whatever whatever is one of the pointless answers, I add that to my list of places to go and watch County.
Are there any pointless answers in those sorts of questions anymore?
No, that's it now. It's become like a self-fulfilling thing. So like people watch all the episodes and go, "Oh, I'm going to say Tuvalu or Central African Republic or Vanuatu," and then they go, "It's like Central African Republic, like 96." It's like, what's going on here? Everyone only knows it because of Pointless. So yeah, I've got the Seychelles to cover for the Leyton Orient game. Yeah, I've done a good little cracked miles this year. Yeah. But I've even started doing it like last night. I went to Nigeria last night. Didn't need to. Didn't need to. I just force of habit now. Yeah.
Just spinning a globe and closing your eyes.
Yeah. I can't enjoy the game without the smell of the local cuisines like in my nostrils.
I think the good news is, Nick, I'm going to be joining you in the Seychelles to watch the Orient game. So, yeah. I haven't got a ticket, so yeah, I'm joining you in the Seychelles. Well, look out for me on the plane.
Talking of weird places to watch the games, I'm watching the 2 home games from the railway end.
Oh, lovely stuff.
With the tourists. So I'm just going to be taking cucumber sandwiches like up the aisles. I wear the shirt.
Yeah.
Vita branded cucumber sandwiches. It's going to rain, isn't it? Let's face it. This is me. This is me sitting in an open end. It's definitely going to rain.
Not looking good for Saturday, is it? To be fair, weather-wise,
maybe we'll get some ponchos again.
Yeah, the weather.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Back to Gillingham. I feel like everyone's avoiding the Gillingham match, but let's go back to Gillingham. I'm not going to say poor. I think we should skip over any poor refereeing displays now because
it's just
it just seems like it's par for the course, doesn't it?
Although I did mean to point out that the referee against Newport was very good.
Oh, okay.
I meant to mention that last week.
Yeah, you probably would have been better last week.
And who's the guy who they have in League One who looks like he smells nice? I saw a game with him last week and he was good. Darren Drysdale. It just looks like he
Right.
smells nice. That's all I've got. It looks like he smells nice, and he's a fair referee. That's all I've got. But obviously, if he's League One now and he's doing well, then we're not going to be.
No, we'll be chasing him with the
Yeah.
leagues, won't we?
Not going to be an issue for us.
No.
But yes, Gillingham. Yeah, we said last week it'd be a horrible game, and it it's just edgy. I don't know. I think we all knew there'd be a different proposition. I mean, look at how they played against us at Edgeley Park, and then they actually came out and attacked.
Yeah,
and it was to our detriment.
Yes, I thought they were good value for their money and their draw, to be fair. There was one particular incident in the first half. I think it was the first half. Again, not sort of going into detail on the referee, but he blew for a foul. If he'd have played advantage, Hippolyte was through.
Yeah.
So that would have been a different game had that have gone in. But yeah, decent point. I was hoping for a point in the Gillingham match and then hoping we'd go and beat Carlisle. But when we got to the Carlisle match, we'll talk about that because they were a different proposition, different than I thought they would be based on what we spoke about last week.
Yeah. So you could see Will popping up with a goal again. He's been a bit barren recently, so it's good timing for him to, both in terms of the timing of his actual goal and the timing in the context of the season as well. Because now that we've got a issue in the strike force, then in terms of personnel, then we're going to need Will Collar to be firing again. I think we're going to need that goal threat.
Yeah, I must admit, I thought I went yesterday, and I thought it could have been a game where Wharton would have been a good game for him because he's so good at holding the ball up and you're laying it off, and at times, we got our noses in front, good goal, and then we were under the cosh second half. And like you say, I think overall, perhaps a draw was a fair result. But yeah, it was disappointing to go in front and then find out, actually end up going behind. And but. To be honest, you could tell that both teams, to me, you could see that the way they played and approached the game, both sides realised that they needed to win. And so it was almost inevitable it was going to be a draw. But it was good to see Evans come up with a late equaliser.
Yeah.
It's interesting as well because you've got that psychological aspect of it because we could quite possibly be playing them in the playoffs.
Absolutely.
So you kind of want to give them something to worry about for when we... I think we did that. I don't think from seeing some of the comments on social media last night, no one fancies playing us in the playoffs.
No, I think there was that we brought Tanto on and he got through, and I thought, to be honest, when he came on, I thought he played well, but he had a chance, and if that had gone in and would have gone, that might have been different, but just put it the wrong side of the post. But he looked strong yesterday and got he got himself some good crosses in as well. But I agree with you. I don't think anybody will fancy playing us in there because we are a hard side to beat, aren't we? That's undisputable. And like Nick says, we're still not. If when you look at it, 2 home games and a game against a side that's already got promotion. We could possibly win our next 3, and be interesting to see what happens then. Because, like you say, Stevenage, good at home, not as good away. Yeah. We shall see.
Yeah, I'm still not making any. I'm still not resigning myself to the playoffs just yet. Anyway, I think 5 o'clock on Saturday. I think that's when we'll be able to say whether it's going to be playoffs or automatics or none. But I think Stevenage and Northampton slip ups at weekend, and you never know. Twists and turns, and Leyton Orient clearly aren't arsed. Has anyone seen the clip of them last night?
Yeah,
embarrassing, absolutely embarrassing. Of a champion mentality there.
I was going to say, won't they? Because they're not champions, are they? They're just promoted.
No.
Oh,
yeah,
is it
promoted.
Are they champions though?
No, not yet.
Okay, so they'll want to go for that, won't they, in the next game? And hopefully,
well, you'd have thought they wanted to go for it for the last 20 minutes of last night's game in case it goes to goal difference, but they didn't seem to want to. They just let Gillingham have pretty much 90% possession until the game ended.
I can kind of understand that, given because they're in the match and that, aren't they? But I'm hoping that they go into Saturday's game. I don't know who they're playing. Somebody mentioned it before, but I hope they go into that match wanting to win it to become the champions, and then when we play them, they are literally on the beach.
Yeah. But then again, if they become champions this weekend, then they'll be getting the trophy after they play us, and you don't want to lose it. You don't want to lose at home and then get the trophy, do you?
I know, but how many times has that happened? That's happened loads of times, hasn't it? Where it doesn't go quite right for you on that when you get the trophy.
They're at home to Crewe this Saturday.
Oh, there you go. They'll be champions by the time we play them.
Yeah, you'd expect so, wouldn't you? You would expect so. But we're only looking at the points now. We're still 4 off Stevenage, although they have a game in hand. But we've seen their away form, so you never know. And obviously 5 off Northampton, and then Bradford have still got that game in hand on us as well.
Yeah.
As of Mansfield.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be transistor radios to the ear on the last day, fellas.
Yeah.
That's going to be it, isn't it?
Yeah.
People running around not knowing what's what.
But a different kind of jeopardy than last season. I feel a lot more relaxed. Loads of people have said this, and I'm the same.
I'm zen, mate. Completely zen. Zen as fuck, as I said on Twitter on Saturday night. I'm just whatever. I was talking to my mate Dan, who we do the other podcast with. He's a Spurs fan, and I was explaining to him that I'm not. He's like, "Oh, I bet you're dead stressed, aren't you?" I was like, "No, I'm pretty cool about it all." And he's twisted it into this thing where I've apparently said I don't want to get promoted. Like, no, it's just that if we don't, there won't be any recriminations. I'll just have a lovely, relaxed summer and then come back ready for it all again next year.
Yeah.
That's it. But it's not going to be a throwing the toys out the pram type of thing if we don't do it, because you can see the progress we've made and are still making. So I'm just going to try and settle in and just enjoy these last few games now.
Yeah. It's an interesting point, isn't it? Because John Kieran last week said that it would be Mark Stott would see it as a failure. The club would see it as a failure if we didn't go up because of the investment we've had. I think he was in no question about that. You've just said you're quite, I wouldn't say ambivalent, but you're relaxed about it. I'm relaxed too. It's kind of a different mentality from a lot of the fan base. I know some of the fan base are saying, yes, it would be a failure that we've invested. Where do you sit on this one, Dave?
Well, I kind of feel like, obviously, it is our first season back in the league, and I look at it as a good opportunity. Even if we end up in the playoffs, which does seem probably the most realistic outcome, is actually we've still got a good chance of promotion. Because, like you say, who's going to want to play us? And we have got people who, we've got a team and individuals who can turn games, haven't we, and score. And we look at Stretton and Evans, who's done well. He's not played a lot, but he's come on and scored 2 goals recently, Evans. And so, I think I've got to be honest, I wouldn't see it as a total failure if we don't go up. But I can understand, obviously, it's not I'm not putting the money in. And, when you're putting a lot of money in, you want to see progress, don't you? So it depends just how you view what is progress. Like you say, would it be the end of the world? I don't think so, but it'd be nice. I think we've got a chance of getting promotion. So, even if we end up in the playoffs, I think we've still got a good chance of going up. So we shall see. I'm not getting. I'm a bit like Nick. I'm not going to be crying into my beard if we don't go up, but I see it as a good opportunity, and we're certainly making good progress. I mean, the gates this season have been phenomenal, haven't they?
Yeah.
Weirdly, if Russ was asked by someone else to describe what I'm like, I think Russ would paint me as the type of guy who would get all arsey and cry into his beer. I think that's exactly the type of person Russ would paint me as. I think.
Oh,
Thoughts,
right.
Russ?
What are you asking me? What I think of you?
Well, no, but we don't want to scratch at that scab, do we?
No, I don't think I would. No, I don't. I just think I don't know. I need more time to think about that answer.
I think you're very surprised that I'm that chilled about it. I think you expect me to be whinging. I don't know. You have to read, Russ.
I don't know. I think you're
you like War and Peace.
No, I think you. I think what I get from you, Nick, is you're a bit like that part of Family Guy where Peter's in the car crying to an REM song, and then as soon as Shiny Happy People comes on, he's laughing, he's happy again. I think you're very much black and white. I don't think there's any. I don't get much middle ground from you, but yeah, I have tonight. So that's I've learned something new. I've learned something
It's
about
weird
you,
considering the amount of private conversations we've had on WhatsApp where I say it annoys me that everything has to be black or white, and then you just,
well, yeah, I know,
I'm staggered by just how much you don't know me after nearly 8 years, Russell. But it's fine. We'll go on a team building exercise or something. It'll be all right. We'll go and throw some wood about in the woods or whatever they do.
Yeah,
on these team building things.
Try and get over a river or something. Yeah. Well, we have spent most of our time on WhatsApp and messages, haven't we, and not in person, to be fair. So I miss that tacit information. I need that tacit information. Akil Wright. Let's move it on to Akil Wright. So he's up for player of the season, quite rightly as well, I think. I think a lot of people are saying that, and that's quite rightly. Does anybody think that in the last 2 games he's been under a bit of pressure, probably not played as well, certainly was at fault for the second goal last night against Carlisle? Is it prudent to take him out of the spotlight for maybe a match or 2 matches?
Well, we did.
What we're thinking?
We did, didn't we? He was taken out. He had a poor game or two. Was taken out the team, and then obviously Fraser got injured again. So Neil Byrne, who had replaced Akil Wright, moved into the centre, and Wright was straight back in after I think 1 game. Yeah, not his best game. There was a lot of sloppiness last night, though. I think the manager mentioned it in his interview as well. They were very, very sloppy at times. But I think Carlisle could say the same. I think they'd be disappointed with their defending.
There was a lot of bookings, weren't we? And obviously, Akil picked up a yellow. It was one of a number of players who did, and it was a committed game, and it was difficult. Must have been difficult to referee because there was some feisty challenges going in, and when they was getting the card out, you couldn't really say, well, that wasn't a card. I mean, and I think that that always puts, especially a defender, puts you under a lot of pressure, doesn't it, when you're on a card? So that perhaps didn't help, but yeah, it's it was you could see the commitment from both sides, and it was full blooded, and yeah, they were both going for it. So yeah, difficult to say.
Just off the pitch in terms of the Carlisle match as well. I went last night as well. I was really, really pleased that we were in that environment playing a game of that magnitude in front of a crowd like that. They're a proper club, aren't they? There was loads of their fans. The only thing that was disappointing for me was, again, and I'll come back to this and people probably shoot me down, but they did not make a noise until they scored. And when they scored, it was jumping up and down. And then when they scored the second, it was like they won the league to me. And then when we equalised, they were dead quiet again. Whereas I think I'm spoiled. I think we're spoiled with our fans that we make a noise from start to almost finish, don't we?
Yeah, I mean, I thought Carlisle sounded okay on the stream. Carlisle sounded fair, but then again, I'd imagine the singing section was right under where John or where the camera was or whatever. So maybe that was it.
Possibly. I mean, if they were singing, they weren't making much movement in that stand because terracing at the front and seating at the back. Yeah, Congo.
Can you have some actions with your football chants, please, lad?
No, but you expect to see people clapping, don't you? If they're singing, I guess.
Yeah.
But they were. I didn't see any of that. I am a bit of an attendance nonce, though, as you know. So, I was looking. So.
No, I'd agree with that, Russ. It was like you say, the away support was over 1,000, which for a Tuesday night game, and the distance Carlisle is tremendous support, and it was. When you was with the county fans, it was so noisy. It was really, really good. And I picked up on that Carlisle fans were absent, weren't they, until they actually scored. And
probably nervous, perhaps.
Maybe, but I picked up on that without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
Can I just mention while I'm on, because there's quite a lot of things to discuss, and obviously what I wanted to do was just talk about the statue again. there was a couple of things, because last time I was on, there were some comments with regard to, I noticed on some of the message boards, and there was one comment in particular, I remember, about how long it had taken to get the statue. And I thought maybe I could touch on that a bit, because when I got back involved in, which was during the process of when the statue was being commissioned, one of the things that had happened was, what we used to do was, like, Anna, the sculptor, would give us send photos of Danny, of where she did a life-size clay statue, and what we'd do is look at it and then sort of pass it round and say, well, does it look like Danny? And if it doesn't, what can we do better? And obviously, Danny's family, particularly Simon and Ellen, his daughter, his son and daughter, they've been pivotal in making the suggested changes for the statue that we thought we needed. And obviously, when we do a piece of work and then would sort of say, well, we think the hair's not quite right, and that she'd have to go away and remodel the whole hair, and then the nose was changed, and his eyes were changed, and his lips were changed, and his chin was changed. So that was part of the reason, when we do this, we'd have to go back and say, right, we need to organise a Zoom meeting. So then you've got to find out when people's are available, all this kind of stuff. But I think the delays have been worth it, because of the standard we've got now to what we've actually ended up with, and it's going to be so, it's tremendous. Just worth mentioning as well, obviously we discussed, I think last time I was on, the fact that we're looking at putting underground lighting in to illuminate it at nights, and what we realised was that the cables and all the lighting units need to be put in when they do the foundations. So that's being done quite soon, which is an additional cost. Obviously, quite an expensive additional cost. So one of the reasons, as we mentioned, we're so grateful to Stockport Gin, who released their commission from the Danny Gin sales. There's a couple of events coming up. I wanted to thank everybody who's donated, because last time I was on, there was quite a lot of donations made afterwards, and I wanted to thank everybody, because I appreciate the supporters have been the ones driving the donations. It's an expensive project. We realise times can be tough. A lot of all the energy prices and everything else, which are well documented. It's people probably haven't got as much money in the pocket as what they used to have, and to see people donating so generously is really, really appreciated. So thanks very much from myself and everybody at the co-op for that. We are trying to get this over the line, and we still do need some more money. And there's a programme and memorabilia fair at Edgeley Park this Sunday, which is the 30th of April. It's 10:30 to 1:30. It's being run by Help the Hatters. The co-op are having a stall there. And one of the things I wanted to mention was that the co-op stall will have a bucket for donations to the statue. But I think what we're doing is hopefully selling shirts, replica shirts, and I wanted to make an appeal. So obviously, appreciate people may not be able, or may have already made cash donations, etc., etc. But if you've got any old county shirts, if you can get down to the memorabilia fair and take it to the co-op store, would be really appreciative, because we can sell these, and all the money will go towards the Danny statue appeal. As I say, we do appreciate the amount of money that county fans have donated and are still donating, and we're just trying to get this over the line and trying to get it as good as we possibly can. So thanks for myself, and thanks to you guys for allowing me to waffle on when I come on with your program. It's very much appreciated. But shirt donations particularly this Sunday at EP 10:30 to 1:30. Try and get there 12 o'clock, and I'm going to be there hopefully knocking about. I'll make a couple of donations. we've got the bike ride for the Hartlepool game, which is a bunch of guys. Really, really big effort for coming down from Hartlepool on a bike. So any support for that would be very much appreciated. And I wanted to thank everybody for the generous donations, because it's been really good, really supportive, and really good. It's one of the things I liked about when I started coming to county. Because when I started supporting the club, there wasn't the coverage that you get now, which even the smaller clubs get a lot of coverage, don't they? And at the time, you'd get the occasional Sunday afternoon program where there was a very short highlights of lower division matches. And I remember when I first went to the county, and I went with a friend, and it was like, I couldn't believe the atmosphere. It was like, it wasn't what I was expecting. I thought it would be flat and, people leaning against, having a bit of a laugh in the joke. And it was like, all the fans were so passionate. And I soon realised, when we started, I remember going to like some of the first away match I went to was Crewe. And at the time, it wasn't, we weren't doing particularly well. So it wasn't as if it was like, but when I got there was more county fans than Crewe fans. And I'm thinking, this is extraordinary. It's unbelievable. But when you supported us as long as I have, you kind of realise we're a big club, and, the fan base is really passionate, and it's just what attracts you to it. It draws you in, doesn't it? When you go into away matches, and you've got, Rochdale was a good example this season, weren't they? I think there was it 4,600 there, and 3,000 were county fans. Now, fair enough. I mean, like you say, we was talking about Rochdale before, and they've had a difficult season by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, the atmosphere at Rochdale was just electric, wasn't it? When we scored, it was unbelievable. So just wanted to take this opportunity to thank everybody who's supporting. If we can support these initiatives like Stockport Gin, get the rest of those Danny gin sold, it'd be really, really appreciated. And so thanks to Cheryl and Paul at Stockport Gin, and thanks to everybody who's made the donations. And if you can just keep supporting these events like the Help the Hatters programme and Memorabilia Fair on Sunday, it'd be much appreciated, because they can be lucrative. It's £1 to get in, or if you're under 16, 50p. So bargain. And,
is that this Sunday, the 23rd, or is it?
No, it's 30th.
30th, so the day 30th. After the Orient game.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll also thank you, Dave, for calling this a programme. Thank
you.
I got a little shiver when you called it. I just usually call it the thing. I'm doing my thing tonight, so that was quite nice. I like that. It felt real for a minute, then, did it, Russ?
It did. Yeah, felt official.
Can we enter in the best programme category
award?
At the awards next year. Might double our chances.
Probably lose that as well, mate. Probably really finish runner up in that. While we've been on air, thank you for that, Dave. Really appreciate it. And you're welcome on any time to do this and give everybody an update on what's happening in the co-op. While we've been on air, the club have emailed out the start of the voting for the end of season awards. That's now open. So put a link in the comments to get voting on that.
Is there an option for whoever scores the winner in the playoff final?
Yeah, just future-proofing the end of the season.
It's going to be an interesting vote, isn't it? Because, like I was saying before, when you look at the squad, we've got a big, strong squad, and we have got, some players there that I don't, who's going to take that award for?
Yeah, I don't. It's been a long time since it's been up in the air as much as it has this season, I think.
I'd agree with that, because sometimes, I mean, and I think as well, we've had, recent seasons, we've had Paddy, who's been absolutely phenomenal. This year, I think it'll be a lot tighter, and, he might be in the running, but I don't think it's as clear cut, because I think sometimes it's sometimes like with the man of the matches, isn't it? Sometimes they say, right, the sponsor's man of the match, and I say, and maybe 70% of the time, there's somebody who stands out, and you think, that's clear cut. And it's like that sometimes we play with the season, but this season, I think there's a number of people who are in contention.
Yeah, I've just voted for mine. So let's go around the room. Nick, who are you going to vote for player of the season?
Ryan Crowsdale.
Okay, nice. Dave,
always.
I'm. Maybe. I'm. 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 maybe Horsfall. I'm not sure. I think it was funny because when we signed him, I remember obviously we got him from Northampton, and I remember their manager saying he was either the best defender or the best player in the second division. And when we had it, we obviously we all know we didn't have a particularly good start, and I'm thinking, where's this player? But since then, wow, some of his performances have been fantastic. And yes, he's had his injuries, so that could, but when he's been fit, I think he's been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
So I'd probably go with him. Yeah. But like say, Rydell, been really, really good. So like I say, I think it's genuinely close this season. I don't know.
It'd be good to see the numbers that come out of this, the percentages. I've gone for William Guy Collar for me.
Okay. Yeah.
I just think when he's in the team, we look different. He's box to box, and the hat trick against Charlton was sublime.
No, I think Collar's be interesting to see what happens, because obviously he has been linked to a number of clubs. Whether that'll happen or not, I don't know. Just something else that's come in really, really late that I've can't tell you too much about this because I don't know too much about myself, but apparently we had a supporter who offered to match some fundraising that we did, pound for pound, and I believe he's been back in touch and offered to help us out again on the back of realising that we're a little bit squeezed with regard to cash flow. So that's something to look out for. I saw an email just before we came on air tonight, and yes, so we've got to get in touch with him, find out exactly what it is he's offering, and see how we best utilise it. But there's going to be something going on where we can get some match funding from one of our supporters. So again, if you're listening, thanks very much for that offer. That's superb and very, very generous. So thank you.
Yeah, tremendous stuff.
First programme and then on air. I feel like Christian and Guru Murthy right
now. We've got some comments coming in. Andrew Hopwood says for him it's Woods. Fair enough. Yeah. Ian Dowden agrees with me. Will Collar, Andy Baldwin, Ben Hinchliffe. Not a bad shout. I mean, there's a case for all of them, isn't there? That's the trouble. I mean, we've all pretty much named different ones.
Absolutely. I think the interesting thing about Woods was.
Horse or colour. Yeah.
I think if you was voting for most improved player of the season, Woods without a shadow of a doubt, because when he first came, he wasn't the player that he is now. Put it that way, and it's such a shame that he's picked up this injury, because he's gone from a player who wasn't really doing much to perhaps being one of the first names on the team sheet. That's kind of. Yeah. But like say, Ben's a good shout as well. I mean, tremendous season, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And two saves yesterday at Carlisle. Fantastic, weren't they? Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
So really, really interesting that, without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, it's funny.
And there is one more thing. The co-op have got a meeting with the club.
I was going to ask you about that actually. That's on the agenda.
About that. It's Wednesday, the 3rd of May. So if anybody's got any questions, I know some people have wrote in with questions. We're definitely going to be asking the club for an update regarding the stadium development plans.
Right. Yeah.
But if anybody's got any questions, get in touch with the co-op, and we will be meeting with the club. So yeah, we're in a position to. When you
say meeting with the club, who are you meeting with exactly?
Whoever it is, tell them Russ said hello.
I believe it's the chief operating officer? There's that many people at the club now. And there's a new guy, isn't there? Tom. Is it Tom?
Mahan, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's involved. Got to be honest, obviously, like I say, I've not been involved for a huge length of time, so I'm not 100% sure. So, but I know, the thing is, obviously, when we meet the club, we probably ask some questions, and some of these people may not know the answers, but at least we're in a position to go away and ask whoever. So yeah, don't, if there's any questions, feel free to put them in. And just one final reminder: if you're a member and you think your membership may have lapsed, get in touch with us and renew. And that's been a great way to help support the Denny statue as well. So, yeah. So thanks for that, guys. Much appreciated.
No problem.
And I shall see Nick in the Seychelles for the Orient game.
I'll be on drinking out of a coconut.
Danny Gin, I hope. Nick.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Just Danny Gin, nothing else. Exclusively Danny Gin. That's too much even for me. That sometimes I take it too far on here, Ross.
Yeah, really, I've not noticed.
That was it. That was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Hey, the straw.
Because you have straws in drinks, don't you?
Yeah.
And there'll probably be some lots
you
of
do
straw
have
on the
thinking
beach.
out of coconuts.
I have to husk them myself, though. That'll make me feel good. I thought you do husk them, taking the hair off them. That's husking it, isn't it?
I don't know. What? You don't need to take the hair off it if you're going to drink out the inside, though, do you?
I don't agree with coconuts, anyway.
I don't like coconut.
Coconut, pineapple, avocado. Too much fannying about.
Yeah.
Too much messing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I agree.
When you're in the Seychelles, I don't think he'll be serving pints of bitter, will he? So
no, he'll have his people doing it for him anyway. So
my people.
Yeah.
God, I wish I had people though.
Well, you're on a program now. You're on air on a program. I'm sure you've got people.
Yeah.
No, so.
Yeah. Well, I suppose I've got my camera crew and all the people who like do all the day to day. I've got my runners and everything. Yeah, so it'll be fine.
Exactly, and your fluffers.
Cheers, Christian.
Yeah,
well, that's a different thing. That's a different sort of entertainment.
Shall we briefly talk about the Rochdale match on Saturday? I know Tom's not here to talk about it.
Like for the best for him.
Yeah, I felt a bit sorry for him before. Fair dues to him, for coming on.
And he lives in Stockport.
No, he doesn't.
Yes, he does.
That's what he told us anyway.
Yeah, I mean,
really?
he did mention it. He mentioned it last time as well, Ross.
Oh, did he? Did he? I must have missed that.
Yeah, he's Stockport. Yeah.
I'm not too sure how that works out. He must have moved. But anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've been watching CSI again, haven't you, Dave?
Well, I will say, obviously, it's going to be a big game, and I think the interesting thing about Saturday is he was spot on what he said, because obviously there's no point in them coming and parking the bus, is it? They've got to take the game to us, and that hopefully will suit us, especially if we can get an early goal. I mean, we could be looking at you mentioned it before, Russ, about thinking we were going to give some teams 2, 3, 4 goal drubbing perhaps, and obviously we won one game recently 4-0, and Rochdale, if we can get an early goal, could be another potential for a few goals.
Yeah,
because
like you start the bus, will they?
No, and it was like, I think that was like yesterday at Carlisle. You could see it. You could see that both teams realised that they needed to try and get the win, and that's how they played. There was no time wasting yesterday whatsoever.
No, there wasn't. It's telling, wasn't it? It was really telling.
Yeah, absolutely, and it made for the better game. But like I say, it was blood and thunder. It was really committed, and it was a good game to watch. It was just disappointing that we found ourselves in front and then pegged back to behind. But we got a point out of it, and that was important.
Yeah. Well, I think it was a fair point, though, wasn't it? It was two good teams going at it. Like I say, no time wasting, coming out to play, to coin a phrase. It was really, really good. But in the context of the season, going away to Carlisle, who were in 5th place, that's a good point. It's just that it happens to come at a point where we probably need the win. I
mean, if we'd won at Gillingham and then got the point there last night, again, that'd be a very, very good point. As it stands, it's just a good point. Yeah. I think we'll know on Saturday evening how good a point it was with the results.
I couldn't help, though, on the drive back, I went with Waggy last night, talking to Waggy. I couldn't help but think and agree with what Ben said a few weeks ago when he was on the show, that we're not quite there yet. and a playoff defeat is probably where we're going to end up. Which, although I won't be happy about it, it's still progress. And I was thinking as well, we're gonna strengthen again, aren't we? To get up if we don't go up this season to next season. So it'll probably be top 3 next season, all being well. Anyway.
Yeah, I think that's the way I think most county fans probably look at it, because you're right. You've got, when you've got the setup we've got, you kind of think that next season's squad will be better than this season's, and like you say, that bodes well if you consider that. It does look likely we'll end up in the playoffs, and where it ends up after that, who knows? We could get promotion, because like you say, we can match teams, we can beat teams, but it's what happens over those playoff games, isn't it? And whether we will end up going into the first division or stay in the second. But like you say, if we end up in second, I'm confident we'll have a stronger squad next season.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think we could be going for automatic next season.
Yeah, and of course,
probably.
I was going to say we'll have our Wrexham. We'll have our friends from Wrexham.
Well, they've got Boreham Wood at home on Saturday, and as we know all too well, they're a horrible team to play.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I wouldn't be surprised if it goes into the last day.
Yeah, I still think they'll come up.
I think they will. Yeah,
I do. To be honest.
Yeah.
I think the big one was when Wrexham played Notts County, and Notts County took the lead, didn't they? But ended up getting beat, and if Notts County had won that, it would have been it'd have been, the pressure would have been on Wrexham then. But obviously they beat them. So
I for one, I want us to have a bit of a rivalry with Wrexham, because I think it's just good. I think it's just good to have a rivalry, and it's especially in that away end last season that hurt me a lot, and I want to get back for that at least. But yeah, and it'll give us good in a weird kind of way. It'll give us some good exposure as well, won't it? If we go toe to toe with them again.
Without a doubt. I mean, it's funny because, like I say, our gates this season, how many sellouts have we had at Edgeley Park? And it's not been particularly well documented. I think there's it has been noted by a lot of clubs, but certainly not by the big media giants, and but like you say, the interest generated since Marks came in is phenomenal. But we've always felt like County had the potential, if they could do well, to really get some big gates and good support, and we're seeing it now, aren't we? All these sellouts, and I believe, because I did hear, did the Hartlepool match sell out in 3 hours? Is that true?
Well, I went on. The tickets came out at 10. I went on. I think it was about 10:30, 20 to 11, and there was nothing apart from the railway end left.
Wow,
absolutely nothing. Yeah, and even that was pretty sparse. I think that sold out like the following day. The railway end did, but yeah. Pretty much the whole ground had gone in like the first half hour or so.
Right, so the railway end's gone as well. Because I was surprised.
Railway end's gone as well now, yeah.
When was it Newport where it was teaming it down? Handing ponchos out. The railway end wasn't as full as I thought it would be.
But having said that, they didn't make the decision to put the tickets on sale for the railway end until very late, did they?
Yeah. I get that.
And that's been the difference, is that they seem to have learned from that, and then they said, right, for both the Rochdale and Hartlepool games, the railway end will be available to county fans. And as we know, the Hartlepool game sold out. I don't think there's a lot of tickets left for the Rochdale game, to be honest.
No.
So
no.
I don't know if they've sold their allocation, because they were complaining about it, weren't they? But I'm not sure if they've sold their allocation yet.
No, I'm not too sure about that either.
Yeah.
But I think, I think the problem with Rochdale is, like we were talking about before, realistically, they're down, aren't they?
Yeah.
Because even if it's not, even if you give them the benefit of the doubt and say they'll win the next 3, like you say, they've still got to then hope that some of the other clubs are losing.
Yeah.
Hartlepool. So, I think realistically they're down, and it's going to be tough for them to get back in the league. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, absolutely. If they ever find themselves back in the league, I would probably say. Let's finish on a high. Let's finish on a positive note. Our 9-game unbeaten run, out conceding the goal, is still intact. Thank you to Cheltenham.
Yeah, it was good when you mentioned it last week as
Last
well,
week,
that mate.
yeah, it did. It
Yeah.
was last week, wasn't it? Yeah, I was scratching around for a high note to finish on, Nick. So apologies for that, mate. I'll
Yeah, because there's
reflect
nothing
on
else good happening with County at all, is there? It's just,
that. Well, name something we haven't spoken about that's good.
It's the general feel good vibes.
Oh right, yeah. Just
I'm a vibes man, Russ. What can I tell you? I'm a vibes man. The fact that I'm sat here like this
Right.
is just not enough of an indication that I'm just your
Well, let's finish.
vibes man.
Let's finish on that then. Let's finish on the vibes because that's something tangible we can all.
Good vibes, man. Good vibes. Yeah.
Good vibes. So you're feeling the good vibes, Dave?
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it from over there in Reddish.
yeah. That's the epicenter of the good vibes, surely.
Well, apparently. Just want to see Nick playing his bass now. That's all we need. Yeah,
That'll be. I'll bring it. I'll bring it to Wembley with me for the playoff final.
Fantastic.
Good stuff. Right. Let's call it there. We've been on for nearly an hour and a half. That's a good one. Thanks to everybody.
Imagine what it's going to be like
following
when we. Are we going to do a live show on the last day again? By the way, if there's something at stake, like last year.
Yeah, don't see why not. We can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point. Actually, we can do that. We've literally just agreed that now that we'll do that, haven't we? Yeah, we've literally just. That's how it works on this podcast. But what we are going to do is get Roger Wild over for a midweek evening live show Q&A. So if you're a patron, you get first dibs on that. Everybody else will get second dibs. But we'll let you know as soon as that's organised. Just trying to discuss a few things first, so we'll get that sorted.
And do I get my dibs?
You're already dibbed. You're dibbed and dabbed.
Yeah, it says that on my Tinder profile.
Does it?
Don't know what that means. Don't know.
I don't.
Not a clue, mate. It sounded rude, but I'm not quite sure how.
Is it successful, your Tinder profile?
No.
Maybe that's why.
I mean,
Dave.
I'm doing this with my Wednesday night, Dave. Of course, I'm not successful in the dating arena.
I was gonna say, have you got a note saying not available on Wednesday nights?
Well, I won't be here next Wednesday, Russ.
Oh,
I told you the other week, but
I'm
I'm seeing Pete Doherty next Wednesday, so I will not be here. I'll be in a bar in Manchester watching you, and I might put some abuse in the comments.
Fair
I probably won't really. I'll just be drinking, won't I?
Probably.
I'll be drinking and crying mostly.
You'll be having a life.
Just what I do every other day. Wrap it up.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Please do like and subscribe and rate and review us on any audio podcast player you are listening to us on. Remember, we are part of the Talksport network, and that is going from strength to strength. And yes,
and they give us choices, don't they? As
they
we
do.
found out this week.
I'm getting more and more impressed with them, I must say.
Should we tell people about our choice just to make ourselves seem really cool?
I don't think it's a case of being really cool. It's a case of having some principles, to be honest. So they've asked
us.
Whoa.
Whatever you want to call it.
So if you listen to us on the audio podcast, you get the adverts. They're from Talksport, and we do get remunerated for that. A very tiny amount. It's not a lot, but do take that into account. They've asked us if we would like to have, or if we'd be okay with having betting companies doing those adverts for us, and we've said no, because although I do like a bet, it ruins lives, and I don't want that.
I mean, I like a bet, and look at the state of me.
Yeah,
that should be the advert. We should do like an advert the other side, and just like, do you want to be like this, man? Don't sell the account.
Can you imagine? Yeah, I can see that. I can just see the poster at the bus stop now of you.
Yeah. It'd be good though, because they'll have the poster at the bus stop, and then if they move into the bus stop, they'll see me asleep on the bench. So all bases covered. No, I think we should feel very, very good about ourselves. As much as I don't want this to be like a self-congratulatory slap on the back. I'm impressed with you, Russ. I'm always impressed with you.
To be honest, Nick, I think we're going from the Seychelles to Skegness and your with your betting record.
Skegness might be a stretch.
So yeah, we decided that a long time ago,
Oh,
didn't
well
we?
done.
As soon as we started to think
Yeah.
about advertisements and things. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. Okay, I think that's about it. So thank you to everybody. See you on Saturday in the courtyard. You going in the courtyard, Nick?
You going in the courtyard?
I'm going in the courtyard. Yeah,
I'm going in the courtyard. I'll see you in there. Yeah.
I'll see you in there, mate. I'll let you buy me a pint with all.
Mine's a pint of lager beer, please.
Okay. Dave, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate
Pleasure, mate.
it.
No,
Cheers.
Come back
Thank you.
anytime and see you soon. Cheers, everybody. Bye.
no, thank you very much. Bye-bye.
This episode of the Scarf Bagara War was written, recorded and produced by Russ Johnson and Nick Lee. The music on the opening titles was produced by Dan Johnson. Subscribe wherever you get your content, as well as finding out how to join the TSBW fan club. Check out the links in the description or go to allthews scarfbagarawar.co.uk.